Yo, what's happening? John Fitch here. John Fitch knows nothing. We had some fights. They were pretty good. The UFC card was kind of wonky. Some weird things happened. Had to make some adjustments. But overall, there were some good fights. And yeah, guys, if you are new here and you're kind of slow, I love fights. Fights are great. Combat sports, I love them all. Boxing, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, wrestling. Two people, one-on-one, going at it, fighting. That's the best. That doesn't get any purer, better to me than it is. But I don't like the system that MMA operates under because it is riddled with conflicts of interest. The business model is corrupt. Everything that happens afterwards is corrupt. And I think the fighters pay the biggest price. And I don't like that. So I tell you what I think about it. And I don't care if you like it. There's a new phrase out there that these dorks are using called, they say casuals. This is what a casual. If you even use the word casual, you're a dork. And you're so new to this sport that I poop on you. I take huge turds on your face because you're a ridiculous loser. You're worse than the tough generation. The guys who never watched fights before, didn't know what it was, and then saw The Ultimate Fighter and thought, now we're experts. We know everything about fighting. You suck big fat turds. You're the worst, absolute worst. You know nothing. You have no depth of consciousness and knowledge of where the sport was and came from. You have no idea that the sport existed outside of the UFC in the 80s and the 90s. And even before then, mixed styles fights have been around for over 100 years. And if you don't know that, just shut up. Just shut up, sit back, and listen to people who actually know something. Most of the guys who get a bunch of followings and accolades and attention online are these dorks, and more dorks follow dorks because they have very low IQ, and low IQ people want people to feed them easy things to process. That's not me. I'm going to give you hard pills to swallow, like it or hate it. I don't care. I'm going to do it anyways. All right. So let's get after it. Let's go PFL. I caught the PFL and there were some good fights. Now I got some dirt on the PFL also. Okay. What's going on with the PFL is really dirty. It's really dirty, right? So they acquired Bellator, right? And everybody's like, oh, wow, great. We're going to see some cross-promotional matchups. And yes, this will be great. And then they start having fights. And what happens? It's all Bellator guys fighting Bellator guys. Geez, I wonder why that's happening. Well, I figured it out. I talked to some people. They're making all the Bellator guys fight each other just to honor their contracts to get rid of them. Because once you lose in MMA, the way the contract structures are written, you're done, right? You lose, your contract is null and void. They can cut you. And what they do is they'll be like, okay, well, hey, you lost your fight. If you want to stay with us, you're going to have to take a huge pay cut. A lot of these guys that were coming off of losses before, they had a loss in Bellator or they lost in recent fights. They come to him, we're like, hey, you want a chance at this $1 million? You want in the tournament? You want to go and make something of yourself in this big tournament? Well, you're going to have to take a huge pay cut. And what's happening here is what's happened a lot of times in UFC, where the UFC has an opening for somebody to fight for the title. And they have 3 guys who prospectively could fight for the title because they're ranked in the top 10 via UFC's influence rankings. And they get the guys to reverse bid for their spot. I'll fight for 50 and 50. I'll fight for 45 and 45. I'll fight for 10 and 10. He's got it. Right? So the lowest bidder in these reverse bidding situations get the fight. And that's what's happening with Bellator and PFL situation now. A lot of these Bellator fighters were getting overpaid. We heard recently that Musasi was not getting signed, even though he's a top guy. He's an ex-champ. He's got a lot of notoriety. They said they weren't interested. No, they were interested, but they didn't want to pay him his worth. They didn't want to honor his contract. They wanted him to take a huge pay cut in order to get an opportunity to fight for the title. Not for the title, but for the $1 million. I guess it is the title, but you gotta get entered into the tournament and win it to get the title. And a lot of these guys that you're seeing fighting are guys who took huge pay cuts. You also have guys who are fighting out of countries that don't have a lot of money, and any price to them is worth it. So you have guys who may be getting guaranteed in the 40 to 50, 50 and 50, 40 and 40 range. And PFL is like, hey, this guy over here says he'll do it for 10 and 10. You gotta agree to 10 and 10 or less in order to get in the tournament. So, oh, nope. Okay, well, we're going to sit you. We're going to make you ride the bench for a while. And then eventually when they do have to give him a fight, they'll give him a fight with another Bellator guy so that one of them will lose. And then that guy will get cut. And if he wants to fight again for them, he's going to have to take a huge pay cut. This is disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. But that's where we are. The UFC monopoly has a trickle-down effect over everybody else. When you don't have a free market, all right? Now, remember, guys, MMA is not a free market. In order for MMA to be a free market, every fighter has to have the ability to fight for whatever title he wants to. That's a free market. On top of that, every title, every independent title, every title needs to compete with every other title for the fighters and promotions to come after them. If that's not the case, it's not a free market. And guess what? We don't have a free market. We have promoters, event providers controlling exclusive contracts and the title. That's a conflict of interest. That is a rotten core. They're built on a rotten core. Everything else happens is corrupt. I love fighting, but we have to remove this corruption. Okay? I don't just bitch and moan. I have answers. I have solutions. We have two solutions to the problem. One is Ali Act. Yes, Ali Act's not perfect, but it does create a free market. And anybody who's bitching and moaning about, oh, well, we don't see the best fights boxing. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. So sometimes it takes more time to negotiate it, but most people don't have any of the evidence to prove their point. Oh, well, Mayweather and what's his name didn't fight at the right time. They made the most money possible for them as a business. That was the right time. That's the right time. You're telling me businesses are supposed to take pay cuts just for what? I don't get it. I don't understand the argument. Oh, we had to wait too long for this unification fight. There is zero unification fights in MMA. Zero. There are zero unification fights in MMA. Well, maybe once in a while Bellator and Risen will have an exchange, but that's not cutting it. All right. So people's own definitions of why boxing is not good is worse than in MMA. Oh, we don't see enough of the unification titles in boxing. There's too many titles. Every single promotion in MMA has a title, and they never cross promote, and they never unify their titles. So your own argument and your own level, your own status of what's good and bad, it fails. It fails. But most people are too stupid to even realize it. They don't know. PFL, the UFC's money laundering league. A lot of these people it's all connected because it's not UFC, it's WME, right? It started off with the corrupt Zuffa and their casino money. Another little red pill for you in this situation, guys. They were 44 million in the hole and they were losing money and the Fertittas were going to drop it, but Tina saved them. Bull crap. They're billionaires. They're billionaires who own casinos in Vegas. They were never losing money. They never were losing money. If UFC was losing money, guess what? That was a write-off for the rest of their earnings. It saved them money. There was never a time that they were like, oh my God, what are we going to do? We're losing so much money. Never. That was never a thing. Wake up. It's so ridiculous. So many people are ridiculous. Pat Yo said Douglas Lehman, Greg Masasi couldn't get a fight because the PFL can't afford the athletes who are high dollar. It's not that they can't afford them. They just refuse to pay because they don't have to. They don't have to. Because there is no legitimate ranking system. in a legitimate ranking system. In boxing, the fighters own their rank. They own their rank. So if you're 15th, no matter where you go, you're 15th. And you're going to have to fight other people who are similarly ranked than you. If you don't, nobody's going to watch the fight. Why are you going to watch a 15th or 10th ranked guy fight an unranked person? What's the point? You're not going to do it. Are you going to watch, I don't know who won the Super Bowl. Are you going to watch Super Bowl champs play a high school team? You going to pay full price for that? Are you? No, you're not. So like, it's ridiculous. They know what they're doing. It's ugly. It's disgusting. I hate it. I want it to change, but I love fights. I love fights, and you still get good fights. And sometimes the matchups do get put together in the right way, and they are fun to watch. Coach Gloy, what's going on, man? Coach Gloy says, I did pay you this month. Did I pay you this month? I never miss a payment on anything. Forgive me. I've been extremely busy, but never overwhelmed because I'm not a beta. P.S. How much does YouTube take? I'll tip you the difference via Cash App. They take 30%, I think. It's like 30% they take. Man, it says hello. Kept says they don't have the viewership to support the pay for someone like Masasi. It's not about that, guys. They don't care. They're not in the business of selling fights. They don't care. They get their money from investors. Okay, all the business guys, all the suits, everybody involved on that end, they make their money through investments. They just keep selling. Oh, we're the next big thing. We're the next big thing. And they get suckers to pay money to sponsor them. They get suckers to pay money to invest. Just keep milking money, milking money. They're not ever actually competing. They'll tell them that they're competing. Oh, we're the next big thing, and we're going to totally usurp the UFC. They're not trying. They're not even trying. They don't care for viewership. They don't need it. They make enough money, like because their overhead is so low. They pay the athletes such a small amount of what's made that they just make their money off of the sponsorships and the investors. That's it. It's a scam. It's a shakedown. Byron Ayala. That cut was nasty, man. I mean, the commission does have a duty to take care of the fighters. You know, they don't most times, but that was a thick ass cut, deep to the bone. It's hard to argue that stoppage. You know, like it was bad. It was really bad. Let her heal up, run the fight back. It's the best you can do, I think. But let's actually talk about the fights. Let's talk about some good stuff. All right. So we had what were the fights? What were the I gotta look this up because this website's kind of a pain in the ass. Sorry, I didn't have this set up. What was the 28th? I didn't watch all of the fights, but I saw a large number of them. Starting off with Neiman Gracie, because I was flying back. I was flying back from New York. I got some procedures done. We can talk about the procedures after, because it was kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy, but interesting, and we'll see how my body feels. I got to go back a few more times. Starting off, Neiman Gracie. I got to see Neiman Gracie fight. He fought Don Madge. Neiman looked really good. His stand-ups come a long way. He still kind of ducks away and shies away sometimes instead of turning the angle or covering and moving forward. But his takedowns look good. His grappling, of course, was good. 30-27 all around. He had a good strong showing. So I don't know. They have the tournament point type thing, which I think is kind of goofy too, because you could lose a fight and still get into the tournament or whatever, or move forward, and the guy who beat you could not. I don't. Prize fighting has a century and more way of running, and it runs well. And I think we just need to let it run the way it runs. All right, but Neiman Gracie looked pretty good. Kroshkov and Yamamuchi. Yamamuchi, not enough ground and pound. He doesn't ground and pound enough. He is a skilled grappler, very skilled grappler. He was able to get some takedowns, put Khrushchev in some predicaments, but because he doesn't do enough damage, stupid word in the sport, he doesn't do enough ground and pound. He doesn't do enough assault, not enough elbows, punches. He gets to positions and he needs to posture up, throw elbows. He needs to create space and fill it with violence. Doesn't do enough of it. So because of that, he allowed Korshkov to stay in the fight, and Korshkov was able to land some big shots, big kicks, big punches, and that allowed him to win 2 of the 3 rounds, giving him 29-28, 29-27, 29-27 on the scorecards. So Korshkov won that fight, but again, that is 2 that's 2 Bellator guys fighting, right? Kamaka and Pedro. This is an okay fight. It cut out a little bit on me during the fight, but I could be wrong, but I think these guys are Bellator guys too, right? Did I? Am I saying that right? Were they both? Bellator guys? I think they were. So it's like you also get more of the Bellator guys out. You don't have Bellator guys beating PFL guys in the beginning, because that would look really bad if all the Bellator guys came in there matched up against PFL guys, and then all of the Bellator guys beat the PFL guys. Well, that would just diminish the PFL title, and they don't want to do that. So they got to keep the Bellator guys away, make them fight each other. Timur Khizriev and Enrique Barzola. Barzola, stay with me, train out here, aka looked pretty good, but he was just a step behind. Timur was able to secure some takedowns here and there, which I think was enough to kind of steal rounds away. And I could have, more volume from Enrique would have been a lot better. Musayev and Murad Ramazanov. I think I might have missed part of this fight, but we had two Evs fighting each other here. Yeah, I think I did miss. I missed part of that, and then I didn't see the Lorenz, Larkin, and Dominguez. I missed that one also because I was in the air. But Larkin got the TKO. I'm pretty sure he probably took a pay cut and to get into the fight, get into the tournament. Mogomed Umalatov versus Brendan Ward. First and foremost, Umalatov had a huge sore. He had a huge sore on his chest. You guys see that? Like a third nipple. That's staph. That was staph. How in the world is the commission allowing that to happen? People die. You can die from staph. You can die. Like, it's not a joke, man. And they're just letting people with big, huge, pussy boils of staph on their chest. Gross. And this is one of the situations that I got word of mouth on, that Umalatov was the guy who was like, I'll fight for way cheaper than the other guys. They're offering other guys the fight, but they needed to take a pay cut. Those guys didn't want to take a pay cut, and they weren't coming off of losses, so they weren't forced to take a pay cut. And Umalatov's like, no, I'll take the fight really cheap. Just give me peanuts. Give me a bag of peanuts and a plane ticket. He went out there. He hit that anaconda choke. That was nice. But he's rubbed his staph all over the guy. He rubbed his staph all over Brendan Ward. And hopefully Brendan Ward does not die from a staph infection. That's gross, man. It's so, like, shame on you, commissions. Really shame on you. It's gross what you do. Because on one side, you do the boxing thing, not so bad. There are mistakes made. but nothing on the level of this. Like, how many times have we seen somebody with just a gaping, pussy staph infection walk into the cage? It's gross, man. You guys don't do a skin check, physical check-in the day before? I think you should do that day before the weight cuts. How healthy is this guy before he cuts weight? And then do another little quick check the next day during check-in to make sure he's healthy when he's weighing in. Logan Storley and Pucklet. This was a pretty good fight. Pucklet, I think, wore himself out a little bit, chasing a lot of subs instead of fighting to dominant position to do some striking. You know, I don't want to use the word damage because it's so overused and no one else defines it, and it's dumb. It's dumb. It's dumb because it's not defined by people. Right? Needs to do work. Needs to do a little work with the violence. Logan Storley, though, wins the decision, moves forward. Lofane and Gonzalez, not a bad fight. He gets stopped, TKO. Doctor stopped the fight in the second round. The little guys. So yeah, PFL. There were some good fights. There are good fights. You don't have to watch any one organization to watch good fights, but all these organizations are screwing the athletes over. They all are. They all use the same business model. They all stole contracts and the way they're doing things from the UFC. It's ugly. It's an ugly world. And I hope we can make some change. I hope people wake up. But I don't know. I don't know, man. Some of these guys, oh, I can't wait to be a good company man and serve you. Triple gag 5,000. I don't understand it, man. Anakin, Dana saying that John Jones is pound for pound. He's selling a fight. He's trying to sell this huge fight. And the fact is that the UFC has not really created many stars as of late. They just keep knocking the dust off the old guys. They got to keep using the old guys' names. They haven't been. That's why they're pushing Pereira. I like Pereira, but I think the big reason they're pushing him so hard and they're so up on him is because he is a star. He's a star. He's fun to watch. He's got a good attitude. He's fun. He's fun outside of the cage. And they need that, and they don't have that from anybody else other than McRaper, allegedly. But they can't get him into the cage. They can't get him to win a fight either. Yeah, Gonzalez cut was pretty bad too. They had a couple of nasty cuts. At theme, Tardif, the PFL season system is borderline rigged. The whole sport, the structure of the sport is rigged. There is no sport. It's not a sport if the event organizer controls exclusive contracts and the title. It's a massive conflict of interest that prevents it from being a sport. It becomes a production. It is no longer a sport. It is pro wrestling. Zero sports operate this way. They're not legally allowed to. They're not. Not football, not basketball, not baseball, not golf, not tennis, not rodeo. None of them. There is nothing. Nothing. Zach loves cats. They're fighting constantly, getting staph because of overtraining. The weakened immune system from being worn down from a lot of training can make you a little bit more susceptible to staph. But a lot of it is you got a lot of different bodies coming into the gym, and some guys are gross, man. Some guys are just dirty. They don't wash. They don't take showers. I've seen guys who will train and go home and eat and take a nap and get up and come back and train, smell like crap, train the second time, then go home and maybe take a shower. And who knows what kind of soap they're using. If they're using soap, maybe they're just rinsing off. There's some gross people, man. There's some gross ass people out there. Like, I take a shower for fun sometimes. I'm not even dirty. Like, wash your ass, guys. Seriously, wash your ass. Like, that's one of like the identifying markers of like mental retardation is you don't know how to wash yourself. You don't know the difference between a dirty ass and clean. Like, stop being the art-hearted, right? Is that like Tom Lawler is nickname? I don't know, man. I've heard too many gross stories about Lawler. I don't even want to. Kingsbury tells me stories, and defense soap. I guess that's one that works. I mean, I use the Castle soap. That works pretty good. Sometimes use the Head and Shoulders. It has something in it that kills like the ringworm and that stuff. But man, honestly, just a hot shower after training, like right away. That's usually pretty good. And any type of detergent soap is going to help. Just wash it off. Wash it off. Cover up your cuts. Cover up your abrasions. Don't pick at your ingrown hairs. Like, cover that stuff up, man. Also, guys who shave. If you shave and trim your hair, body hair, even your head, don't use the razor most of the time. You want to use a clippers, right? So you can use like the 1 or the 0 and use the clippers, because when you use the razor, you actually open yourself up to infection more. So you have to be careful. Yeah, Hamzamir, there's lots. Yeah, Matt Lynn used to eat like an onion before weigh-ins and stuff. He just wanted to be disgusting for the fight, to gross you out and yeah, make you think about that instead of whatever he was going to do to you, which is an interesting strategy. But yeah, I'd rather just be good. All right, get to the UFC. 303, not too bad. I'll get to some of the other details when we get in there. Bantamweight, first fight of the night, was pretty good, decent. Ricky Simon, I thought he looked pretty good. Sinius Oliveira, this guy's second fight. They were super hyped up on him. I can't stand it when they do this crap, guys, because every little, the guy, he barely touches him. Oh my God, that was the craziest punch. This guy's so amazing. Oh, wow. And then Ricky Simon can go whack and hit the guy, and he takes a step back, and they're like, nothing, silence, crickets, like it never happened. I'm so sick of them selling this crap like pro wrestling people. It's gross. Just let them fight, man. Just tell us what's happening. Quit selling it. If the guy's good, you don't need to. I think that's why they have a hard time building the stars, because it's not organic. It doesn't. People are not as stupid as you think. I think there's a lot of smart people out there still. I like to think that, and I could be really wrong, but I like to think that. Or maybe it is. There's just so many idiocracy people wearing idiot shoes that really are all about the story. They just want the story. They don't care about facts. They don't care what's really going on. They just want the story. And, when Joe Rogan's like, oh my God, that's the most amazing punch I've ever seen, they believe it, even if it missed. Rei Tetsura looked pretty good against Hernandez. Hernandez fought tough. He looked not bad, but Tetsura was transitioning and changing positions, looking for submissions the whole time. Hernandez was going well defensively. It made for a very exciting ground fight. Luckily, there weren't that many fans in the crowd at the time, because they probably would have booed. They probably would have booed because they're dumb. They're dumb. Why are they standing up and throwing punches? Casuals. But Sura, he was a big fan of Kid Yamamoto, and the kid was a cool guy. American Muscle. I got to go hang out with him. He took me for a ride in he had like a big Dodge SUV. And he turned it on and like revved the engine, looked at me, he goes, American Muscle. I was like, yeah, all right. Paid extra to get the bigger engine over there. I thought it was pretty good. Arvlasky, they were just hating over this fight, the whole fight. Like, how disrespectful to this guy. 20 years fighting. He's a monster, ex-champion, and they might as well have just gone and spit on him. They should have just spit on him when he's in the corner. They're like, oh, this is terrible. These guys, like, they're fighting. Let them fight. Shut up. You're sitting in a suit on the sidelines. You're a spectator at the moment. Just shut up. Boudet had the onus on him to step it up and put away Arvlasky. Arvlasky's the old man. He's the old man. He fought his ass off. I thought he looked great. I thought he did good. for being 45 years old. Is he a year younger than me right now? Like, come on. They're trying to push Spudega. He's got 20 pounds on Orlovsky in maybe 15 years or so. Like, you tell him to open up a little bit more. I think Orlovsky did good. He forced clinch. He slowed the fight down, made sure he wasn't getting hit. He's made adjustments. His chin is not what it used to be. He realizes that, and he's made the adjustments to make sure that he's not getting knocked out easy with clean punches. Keeping his hands up, moving his head a little bit, forcing clinch. It's harder to get knocked out from that clinch than it is out in the open. Leave him alone. Michelle Watterson lost to Robertson and retired. Peyton Talbot, the guy looks pretty damn good. 19-second knockout. This guy has looked good in his fights for the UFC. Something came on my timeline and people were losing their mind because he wore a crop top. Like, what? People find the stupidest stuff to get upset about. I don't get it. How is you wearing that? I think if you probably had a problem with it and commented on it, you're probably maybe gay secretly. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. That's just who you are. Embrace it, maybe. Embrace it. Yeah, it was easy to miss, Zach. Zach Loves Fat says, I missed the Peyton fight. Yeah, he had him in and out of there, 19 seconds. He looked good. Charles Jourdain gets beat by Jean Silva. Silva looked pretty damn good. Second round. Good power. Hard hitter. Cub Swanson, Andre Fili. I think this was one of those fights that was kind of like thrown together to save the card a little bit. Touchy-feely. He always puts in good work. Swanson, he's been around for a long time, put in a lot of good fights. Good guy all around. But, Fili was outmatched with power. So he used the grappling. He closed the distance, would clinch it up, would slow it down. He did what he needed to do in order to secure that win. Swanson maybe pick it up a little bit more early on. Maybe if he would have pulled the trigger and was more aggressive in the first round, he would have been better off because he lost the first two, won the third, I think. But yeah, Fili, pretty good. Joe Pyfer, we've been watching him for a while. He's been doing some pretty good things. He fought Barriot, and he landed a big right hand right in that temple area. Looked like he gave him some cobwebs for a second, and then landed another right hand, and then when he's on the ground, popped him right on the jawline and sent him to the shadow realm. So Joe Pyfer displayed some good power, good composure, picked his shots. I don't know. He might be a player in the top 10 here pretty soon. I think maybe give him a bigger name. Give him a big name. No, just give him a name. He lost to what? Hermanson, which is a name. Maybe run that back or somebody else in that caliber. But yeah, he looked good. What do we have? Machado Gary. I am Machado Gary. All right. So a lot of people just don't like this guy. End of the day, I don't care. I honestly don't care who these people are. I don't care much who they are outside the cage. I don't care. I want to see the fights. I want to see you fight. What I did notice about this fight was the commentating again was god awful, absolutely god awful. Given Page the second round, I don't understand at all. He landed 2 punches, and they're like, "Oh my God, look at that power!" Like Gary did not stumble, he did not fall, he did not get knocked down. He took it. He took the punch and came forward like it didn't happen. He smiled. He smiled at him, so he hurt him. No, we don't know that. We don't know that. Unless he actually wobbled or he hit the ground, you don't know what happened. You don't know if that was a hard punch or not. To me, like if there's no physical visible change in his behavior, which I did not see other than a smile, who cares? It's a clean punch. It's a significant strike. Cool. But, look at the damage. Look at the damage. What damage? How do you quantify the damage? Please, right? Write it down so I can see your criteria for damage, and I can give it to anybody off the street who's never seen a fight before, and they will pick it right every single time off of your criteria. Do that for me. Or shut up. Shut up. Shut up about it. Right? That's just your opinion. You're just selling some garbage. I don't care. He didn't get stumbled. He didn't fall. You're not in his head. You don't know if he got a white flash. You don't know if he's like, oh man, that was really heavy hit. I know it was a fast punch. It landed. And what happened next? Right? The fights are to be scored, right? In order of importance, right? Techniques that move the fight along to a finish. Volume, like number of punches and kicks thrown, or submissions attempted. And then last, ring generalship, control. Well, okay. He hit him with a significant strike, but like he didn't fall down. He didn't get rocked. We couldn't see him get rocked. It was just a clean punch. To me, that goes in the volume category, not the technique that moved the fight along to a finish, because it didn't move it towards the finish. I think having the back and having your arm around his neck moves the fight along to a finish more than a straight clean punch that doesn't rock the guy. He does not rock. He doesn't stumble. He doesn't fall down. So I can let my 10-year-old hit me in the face as hard as he wants to. It's not going to do a damn thing to me. I don't think that's damage then. Is it? Significant strike? Okay, because it was a clean punch. Damage? Nope. Nope, because it's not going to change my behavior at all. In fact, I'm going to keep walking through because I realize, hey, he's got powder puff punches. It's not going to hurt me. Like, I don't know. Hamzamir says, according to your rules, you have to outstrike your opponent. Well, no, it clearly says. I had it. I have it in my thing. I could search it and read it for everybody. Do I have it here? Might take me a second to find it. I'm pretty sure I had a link. Let's see. No. Where do I have it? Do I have it on here? I might not have it. I had it here a while ago. Unified rules. I think I got it. Unified rules. Scoring 10-point must-round system defined as followed. All bouts will be evaluated by a score of 3 judges. 10-point must system will be the standard system of scoring a bout. Under the 10-point must scoring system, 10 points must be awarded to the winner of the round, and 9 points or less must be awarded to the loser, except for an even round, which is scored 10-10. All right. Prioritize criteria. All right. Prioritize criteria. This is what they have in the criteria. Notice which word doesn't show up. Right, legal blows that have immediate or cumulative impact with the potential to contribute towards the end of the match with immediate weighing in more heavily than the cumulative impact. Successful execution of takedowns, submission attempts, reversals, and the achievement of advantageous positions that produce immediate or cumulative impact with the potential to contribute to the end of the match, with the immediate weighing more heavily than the cumulative impact. It shall be noted that a successful takedown is not merely a changing of position, but the establishment of an attack from the use of a takedown. Top and bottom position fighters are assessed more on the impactful, effective result of their actions, more so than their position. This criterion will be the deciding factor in a highly majority of decisions when scoring a round. The next 2 criteria must be treated as a backup and used only when effective. Striking, grappling is 100% equal for the round. Effective aggressiveness. Aggressively making attempts to finish the fight. The key term is effective. Chasing after an opponent with no effective result or impact should not render the judge's assessments. Effective aggressiveness is only to be assessed if effective striking grappling is 100% equal for both competitors. Fighting area control. Fighting area control is assessed by determining who is dictating the pace, place, and position of the match. Fighting area control shall only be assessed if effective striking, grappling, and effective aggressiveness is 100% equal for both competitors. This will be assessed very rarely. Do you guys notice which word was not present in any of that? Damage. Damage was never in the criteria ever. Never mentioned. It's so ridiculous. Byron Ayala, yes, Pride was a different scoring system. Pride did not have 10 must rounds. You fought for 15 minutes. It was a 10-minute first round, a 5-minute second round. The judges then picked who the fight of the overall winner was. They just said, oh, well, overall, we think this guy was the winner of the fight. Again, no clear criteria. It leaves the door, when there's no clear criteria, it leaves the door wide open for shenanigans. We'll just say it nicely, shenanigans. And I think when there's a lot of betting going on, you can expect a lot of shenanigans going down whenever they want. Yeah. So in my opinion, the cumulative stuff, like Iron Gary got the takedown, got the back, he's all around the throat. Like he's immediately threatening a finish. He drops to an ankle. It's an even round. He got to an ankle. He's threatening a leg lock. Like, I don't know. Are you saying that one clean significant strike or two clean significant strikes is more impactful than being on the ankle and almost getting the submission? I don't know. I mean, if that's your argument, I just think really I really think the criteria needs to be way more in depth. Like that was like what, like 2 paragraphs, 3 paragraphs total. You have 1 paragraph and then a couple sentences, 3 sentences, and the next thing is like 4 sentences. They have impact, dominance, duration, impact. Let's see what this says. Impact. A judge shall assess if a fighter impacts their opponent significantly in the round, even though they may not have dominated the action. Impact includes visible evidence such as swelling and lacerations, which I don't agree with that because some guys cut easier. Impact shall also be assessed when a fighter's actions using striking and or grappling lead to a diminishing of the opponent's energy, confidence, abilities, and spirits. All of these come to a direct result of impact. When a fighter is impacted with strikes by lack of control and or ability, this can create defining moments in the round and shall be assessed with great value. Again, damage is not mentioned. Dominance. As an MMA fighter, as MMA is an offensive-based sport, dominance of a round can be seen in striking when the losing fighter is forced to continually defend with no counters or action taken when openings present themselves. Dominance in the grappling phase can be seen by fighters taking dominant positions in the fight and utilizing those positions to attempt fight-ending submissions or attacks. Merely holding a dominant position shall not be a primary factor in assessing dominance. What the fighter does with those positions is what must be assessed. So, yeah, I would say that to me, Ian Gary and a couple of those in all 3 of those rounds exhibited more dominance because of the ground. Duration. Duration is defined by the time spent by one fighter effectively attacking, controlling, and impacting their opponent. While the opponent offers little to no offensive output, a judge shall assess duration by recognizing the relative time in a round when one fighter takes and maintains full control of the effective offense. This can be assessed both standing and grounded. I don't know, man. and 2017 removed as a foul is throwing in the towel. So it is legal. Somebody was trying to argue, some dummy, some casual was trying to say you can't throw in the towels. No, dumbass, you can. And they removed it as a foul in 2017. So I don't know, man. Close fight, but to me, like, I can't. I don't know. I don't care either way about who the people are. But the style of fighting that Venom Page uses, to me, is not much fighting. He spends a lot of time running away, and then he jumps in and throws one or two things. And that's just, it doesn't display dominance to me. You're running, throw something in. Running. He's effective when he lands, but he loses a lot. He loses a lot to guys who are not top 10. And now, whatever you want to say about Iron Gary and his personal life, like, I don't care. Just talking about the fight and the technique and what happened. He could have done a lot more. I was not impressed with his victory, but he did do a lot better of a job, I would say, than Storley did when Storley beat Page. And none of them did as well as Mike Perry did in the bare knuckles. But of course, it's not, there's no kicking in that. Yeah, Common Rider, you're right. Pereira having a field day with all these matchups he's getting with all these strikers. Yeah, it's kind of like Khabib. When he came through, like, there weren't any other grapplers really. Most guys, some guys that were okay on their back, good guys on their back. Oliveira was going on his back, yeah, but like for the most part, a lot of these guys, they were just strikers. And then Khabib comes through and just runs through them because they don't know how to grapple. They don't know how to wrestle. That's the thing is, MVP's a wild card because he is fast. He is long. He can jump in and do damage. Air quotes damage. Like, that word's ruined for me now because so many dummies say it, not knowing any idea of what it means or no ability to define it in any ways. Brian T says no, his personal life is too funny. It is. I just want to say that, like, some people are like, really low IQ people think that when you criticize fighting technique or game plan, oh, you're a hater. You're a hater. You just don't like it. It has nothing to do with the person. Like, if they were a robot, I would criticize the robot. I would criticize the robot and how the robot is performing. That's all it is to me. Okay. I really don't care on a personal level. I don't care what any of these guys are doing in their home lives. That's why when the dummy Connor boys who can't wait to go off on Khabib because he's Muslim and blah blah blah, the Muslims do this, blah. I don't care. I just want to watch the fight. I care about what's going on in the fight. That's where I'm at. That's what it is for me. The fight. None of the outside garbage. I can't stand it. I can't stand the pro wrestling nonsense. But I don't like the Iron Sheik and what he said. He said Hawk 2 on America. Oh, okay, let's get through the rest of these fights. Buena Silva got her head opened up with a cleaver by Chason. Anthony Smith, he was almost out of the woods. I was almost going to apologize and not call him a punching bag. Almost. It almost happened. But I can't because 85-pounder beat him up on short notice and looked like he kind of had his way with him. I think Dolidze, if he was in better shape and more prepared for that fight, he probably would have finished it. But he seemed like he treated it more like a sparring match. He didn't want to get tired, and he just stayed in the lead throughout the fight in order to get the win. He looked good, and if he wants to fight 2 weight classes, I mean, I guess if he wants to be busy and get paid, go for it. But I think he'd be better off if he just focused on one. But I don't know, man. With how things work, maybe he is really smart doing that because it leaves options open for him. Because, they like to write scripts. They like stories. And if his story doesn't fit into what they're telling, they're not going to give an opportunity to fight for those titles. They're just going to use him as an opponent. They're just going to use him as a card filler. Next, co-main event. co-main event, which was disappointing because I was looking forward to Ortega and Lopez fighting. Ige comes in 4 hours notice. They weigh in at 165. The other 45 pounders, so 20 pounds overweight. And Ige puts on a really good fight, and him too. Maybe he was worried about getting tired, but if he would have turned up the gas in the first round, because I think he won that last round. He might have won that last round. Maybe if he turns the gas on earlier, he finds a way to win that fight. But this is just one of those things. It's wild. And now I think because Ortega did pull out, he's on the shit list. I think he's on the shit list. My girl was saying that she saw a press conference. Dana White was already pooping on Ortega, and I kind of called it. I said, I bet they start turning on Ortega now because he pulled out of a fight because he was sick. He had over 100-degree temperature. That's why I fought Damian Maia. I had over 100-degree temperature that morning. I was like, they're already giving me a hard time. They're already trying to get rid of me. They're already giving me problems. If I pull out of this fight, they're gonna put me on the shelf for a year. They're gonna turn me into the worst person ever. They're gonna treat me worse than Osama bin Laden. Which is a side note. How are all these like America, Trump people like all up about UFC when they're doing business with Saudi Arabia? Is Trump cool with that? Didn't they bomb us? Didn't they fight planes into the trade center? Aren't they kind of like an enemy of the state, or at least enemy of the people? Isn't that a thing? Or no, we're just forget it. Never forget, except when Saudi Arabia gives us money. Like, it's weird, man. It's weird. There's a lot of mental gymnastics from people around a lot of this stuff. All right. So let's do it, man. Main event. Jiri and Alex Pereira. I like both these guys. Jiri's fun. He has great energy. He fights hard, but he's really loose. He's really loose and wild with his stand-up. Sometimes it can work for you when you're fighting MMA guys. But I think, and I said it here, I think it's a huge mistake when you have somebody who's as clean and sharp as Pereira. And not only that, but he has power. He is a sniper with a 50 cal. He has big power in those hands and feet. And if you make a mistake, if you drop your hands, he's going to make you pay. And he made Jiri pay. Now, yeah, Jiri isn't a known wrestler. But what do you guys think would be easier, right? Let's put this in your head. What would be easier? Two guys who've never wrestled before, right? Do you think Jiri would have an easier time learning wrestling and taking down the guy who's never wrestled before? Or do you think you'd have a better chance of getting really good at kickboxing and beating a 2-division kickboxing champion? Okay. So, yeah, Jiri punched to clinch. He got into clinch once, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. He punched to clinch once, and he wrestled him a little bit. Didn't try to take him down. There were no takedown attempts. He in my opinion, I could see that he was trying to make him work. And I say that's a good thing to do. When you're fighting somebody who's a good striker, you don't even have to take them down right away, right? Unless it comes easy. The goal is to make them work, make them blow their arms out. If you can make them pummel and hand fight and pull their head down, right? You can beat the legs up a little bit. You can knee the legs, maybe knee the body. You can wear them down. You can get them to blow that load. Now they start punching a little bit slower. Now their timing's a little bit off. The power is still there, and you got to be careful, but you've taken them out of their realm, taken them out of their game. That was smart that he did that. He should have done it, though, way earlier, and he should have done it a lot more. The first round, maybe 2 rounds, should have been just that. Punch to clinch, make him wrestle. Don't even have to take him down. It's not about takedowns. It's about getting him tired. It's about taking him out of his rhythm. It's about taking him out of his game. Get his arms blown out. Make him breathe heavy. And then when he starts physically showing that you're having effect with the clinch. Now it's time to either take him down or open up in your stand up or do a little bit of both. But I don't think he executed well. I think he stayed outside and played with him too much in the striking. Maybe he let his guard down a little bit at the end of that first round because he got clipped in that last 2 seconds, that last second. The whistle blew, the bell rang as he hit the ground, saved by the bell in a sense. And he probably didn't have the cobwebs shaken off completely coming out of the break. So if you play fast and loose with a sniper, with the not even a 50 cal, man, he had a bazooka, right? You sniper with a bazooka, and you're asking for it. But that fight, it kind of went the way I predicted. If Jerry tries to kickbox with him and stand up with him, end of the day, the guy who's a 2-division kickboxing champion is probably going to win that fight. And I've been saying this for a long time, guys. The majority of guys who you consider great fighters, great stand-up fighters in MMA would be trash in boxing or Muay Thai or kickboxing. It's not the same sport. It's not the same thing. Especially boxers. If you think somebody's a great boxer, like people will think, oh, Sean O'Malley, I think would do great boxing. No, he wouldn't. If he would, he'd be going to boxing and fighting for $30 million. Why the hell is he fighting for peanuts in UFC when there's a lot more ways he could lose and get hurt? It makes zero sense to me. He's just a warrior and wants to fight for less money. Really? He wants to fight for less money? He's a good fighter. He's a champ. Give him that. But stop cross sport mixing stuff, man. It's like, this guy, what's his name? Tom Brady. Tom Brady, man, he'd be a great pitcher. He'd be amazing. He would totally be able to be a pitcher. He'd totally be able to play for the New York, what's their names? Mets, Yankees, something. He'd totally be able to compete there. Come on, man. Just stop. Just stop it. Just stop it. Allow people to be great in their own sport. If he could compete, if he could beat guys, he would, and he'd be making way more money. Way more money. Not even close. Gloy says, Coach Fitch, how excited are you to take over my gym for a week, July 9th, 29th? Also, can you remind my fighters that everything is covered by Coach Gloy also, including your private sessions? All right, guys. Yep. I'm going to be coaching at Sudden Impact Monday through Thursday, right? The 29th, 30th, 31st, right? August 1st. Those are the days I will be in town running class. I think it's at 6 p.m. We're starting. A couple of days of striking, a couple of days of grappling. We're going to be showing some stuff, working out. It'll be fun. It's going to be a fun time. If you're not a member, pay the drop-in. Sit in on the classes. If you are a member, you're covered. You're good. Chloe's got you covered. I'll be seeing you all soon. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, Hamza Amir says the majority of live audience in the UFC is influencers and celebrities, no normal working class people. I'll even one up you. It's what do you call it? What do you call it? When they what do you call when the government pays like the farmers to grow the corn, right? What do you call that? Subsidy. That's, it's subsidized. I am saying that a lot of the fights, a lot of the seats in the UFC are subsidized, right? Because they are buying the tickets and then giving them, okay? Because they want to make the claim, we're sold out, we did this many in ticket sales, right? And they can't do that unless they buy the tickets themselves. But they're giving a lot of these tickets out to these influencers and people. They're not paying the $1,200 themselves, right? They're boosting the seats up, making certain suckers who are willing to pay the $1,200, but they're buying the tickets themselves and then giving them out to people up front so that they can have certain influencers in the front. And I'll also bet that most of those influencers are people who are signed by WME. They're represented by WME. So it's all in-house. It's not like, oh, some random guy showed up because he loves the game and loves Dana and what they're doing and blah, blah, blah. He probably got paid. These guys are getting paid to show up, allegedly. That's my take on it. And I'm saying this because I know from guys in the past, I know that certain people have gotten paid to go to these events, not because they just wanted to go. They're happy to go, but they're getting paid. They're not going to pay the $1,200 for a front row ticket there. Yeah, Common Rider, you're right. Jury didn't need to get the takedown immediately, but that clinch should have been the focus. Yeah, the clinch and clinch fighting, like kicking the legs, knee in the body, digging underhooks, trying to get the shoulder strikes, trying to find some elbows in there, uppercuts, hit the body, doing work, landing a lot of different punches from that clinch, pulling on the head whenever he can, make him tired, make him feel the gravity, make him feel his weight and your weight. Pereira and Inkalev should be interesting, but we'll see. We'll see, because everybody's susceptible to the hype and the pressure of stand and bang. Subsidies, thanks. Zach loves cats. Yeah. Joe works for WME. He does. Joe's bought. You don't make that kind of money without being bought and work for somebody. That Conor McGregor would smoke Fedor. Shut up. It's so ridiculous. He was a spark. He had a short run that was good with a lot of leveraging. He won some big fights. The Alvarez fight, I think was his one big good performance without massive leveraging that I know about. But pretty much every other fight he was in, I think there was massive amounts of leveraging. And they never mentioned those things going on behind the scenes. Yep, you're right. Omnipolar, driving up prices in-house. It's similar with like the housing market. They're not going to let the housing market fall, because like 50% of the homes in California are already owned by some corporation. So like the corporation would be punished if the house prices fall. So they have to artificially inflate them. That way their banker buddies can keep giving out loans. It's all about debt, keeping everybody in debt. Todd Atkins, what's going on, man? What do you think of Dana saying Power Slap will be bigger than the UFC? Kind of weird. No. They're pushing it so hard because they know that what they're doing is illegal, and eventually time's gonna run out. Eventually, it might not be right now, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, eventually. So they need something that they can control fully. And you can argue that Power Slap really isn't a sport. It's gimmicky enough that they can be like, oh, it's not a sport, and you're not going to be able to regulate it in any way. And that's where they're hoping they're going to keep making that money. But I don't know anybody who's actually watched it. I don't know anybody. Maybe they're hoping to keep it going along until they get a younger generation of people, because the only people that I have ever met who want to watch it are my kids. They're the only ones who are like, yeah, let's watch people slap each other. Let's watch these stupid people slap each other. And that's the mentality. It's not like a sporting competition. It's like they want to watch stupid people slap each other. They want to laugh at the guys. They want to laugh at them and point at them, make fun of them. Like, I understand on that level. There's a lot of like mean, evil, gross people in the world. And I could see how they would get behind something as ugly and gross as Power Slap. Yeah, I think that was a little bit of a tell. Kepsta says, I was sure Jiri will get beat when he accused Pereira of spirits and magic. I think that was in his head a little bit. You can't be thinking about your opponent has magic. He's using magic against you. If you're thinking your opponent's using magic against you, I think that's a red flag. The betting odds should have tilted heavily after that, I think. I don't believe any of those numbers. So Zach Loves Cat says 42,000 are watching on Rumble and 7,000 are watching on YouTube. Bots, fake accounts, like everything online is FGR, guys. Fake gay retarded, all of it. I don't believe anything. I don't believe Mr. Beast has the number of views he has. I don't believe these guys playing Pokemon and talking about the Pokemon things. I don't think they have the views that they say. YouTube's been caught and record labels have been caught faking views on music videos. I don't think that for 1 second that they're honest, that it's real. I think everything is controlled. I think everything is manipulated. The algorithms are manipulated. I don't believe it. You always hold that in your heart, guys. Fake gay retarded. That's everything on the internet. It's not real. Assume it's a dude. Okay? That's my opinion on the internet. Assume it's a dude every time. People getting paid. Hamzamir, why is anybody promoting anything? Somebody's getting paid. Yeah, the only time I see it is if it's forced in my timeline. I've actually blocked it, I think, on a couple things because I don't want any of it showing up on my timeline. Why is this on my timeline? They're spending a lot of money trying to push it on people. It's gross. I think I don't know if we just make fun of it. I think or I ignore it. I think make fun of it. If you're doing power slap, you're kind of dumb. Just that's the best you can do. Like, it's the best you can do. Like OnlyFans porn and power slap. That's it. That's your life. That's how you're getting by. Why don't you learn how to like make something out of wood? Paint, sing, something, anything. Do something. Jason Trump, Koscheck started a military, whatever company, working for the Gov. He gets contracts, teaches people fight stuff. He's out on the East Coast. Zach Loves Cats. Tell us the Tom Lawler story. I don't know if I can on YouTube. I can get kicked off maybe. But there was a bet him and Kingsbury had about somebody happened to put something up somewhere and Lawler lost and he had to put it up his thing and he couldn't get it in and he had some help. That was just I don't want to get into it. He's probably getting them some money. Like the same thing for all these guys, man. They don't know their own worth. They don't think they can do anything without them. They throw a little money at them, and there was Zach Loves Cats. Tell us the Tom Lawler story. Yeah, they want to be. They love being on the big screen at the arena and people cheering for them. They little side money from it. I don't know, man. It's the Faustian deal. All right, guys, that was a show. I think it was good. Fight night. What is this? Barber versus Nurmagomedov. They changed it though to Cortez, but they didn't change the thing on the whatever. I don't know. Who else is here? Daubers fighting Ponzinibbio, Bonfim, Anglusa. There's a few names I recognize. Fremd, Petrovsky. Some okay fights, I guess. Common Rider. Let's finish off with this. Common Rider says, why do you think a lot of MMA fighters nowadays just kind of hug in the clinch? If they do end up going for a single leg, it's usually just run the pipe. And if it fails, they don't chain it with anything else. I don't think a lot of these guys spend that much time training their wrestling and their clinch stuff. I mean, think all the leaked sparring or sparring posted by any of these fighters, it's all like boxing. Like I rarely see them even throwing that many kicks. I don't see anybody punching the clinch and then doing hard work in the clinch. I don't know. You're not going to do it in a fight if you're not doing it in training. I'm not sure. I don't know. There's a lot of things I just don't understand. I don't understand why guys don't try certain things or mix things up. They just do the same thing that everybody else is doing. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. I gotta go, and hope you guys are having a good